Welcome back to The Rational Investor. I'm your host, Alex. And today we are tackling a subject that is often whispered about but rarely understood: why we panic in the face of financial news. We're talking about that gut feeling, that knot in your stomach when the market turns red. To walk us through the actual brain science behind this, I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Ben Carter, a specialist in behavioral finance and neuroeconomics. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alex. It's great to be here. This is such a crucial topic because every investor, from the beginner to the seasoned pro, fights an internal battle against their own biology.
That's a fantastic way to put it, an internal battle against our biology. Let's set the stage. The core idea from your research is that this sell everything, run for safety instinct is not a character flaw. It's actually evolutionary design. Can you explain that initial primal mechanism?
Absolutely. Think back to our primitive ancestors. If they heard a loud snap or saw a quick shadow, their only viable response was fight or flight. That response was a brilliant survival mechanism. It flooded their body with hormones and shut down non-essential functions to focus solely on immediate danger. Now, fast forward to today, the shadow is no longer a predator. It's a headline about unexpected bank collapses or a statement from the Federal Reserve. But the brain, the fundamental hardware, hasn't updated fast enough. It perceives a red line on a stock chart as an imminent threat to survival, not just capital.
Right, the stakes are different, but the internal reaction is identical.
Exactly. And the problem is vastly amplified by our current information ecosystem. News speed and volume, especially economic, political, and public health news, act as massive catalysts for panic. Social media ensures that fear goes viral faster than facts can be processed. We see people selling at the literal worst possible time, or rushing to buy into trendy assets without doing any analysis.
It's like we're constantly under a high-intensity fire drill. So what you're saying is that remaining calm isn't a personality trait. It's a sophisticated, trained skill.
Precisely. It requires building mental armor, and the first layer of that armor is awareness.
Let's put on that first layer of armor. When we read a catastrophic headline, say inflation unexpectedly skyrockets, what is the actual chain reaction inside our skull?
It all comes down to a battle between two regions, the ancient and the modern. First, the news, perceived as a potential loss, immediately activates the amygdala. This is our central alarm system. It's primitive, fast, and focused entirely on keeping us safe.
The amygdala fires first.
It does. When it's triggered, it floods the body with cortisol, the primary stress hormone. And here's the crucial part for investors. This cortisol surge directly inhibits the function of the prefrontal cortex, or the PFC.
Ah, the prefrontal cortex. That's the part we actually want in charge during a crisis.
That's right. The PFC is responsible for logical thought, long-term planning, and complex decision-making. In essence, fear literally makes us less intelligent about finance by hijacking the circuitry we need most. The amygdala takes the wheel, and your long-term plan is thrown out the window in favor of the immediate emotional impulse.
Right. The stakes are different, but the internal reaction is identical. Now, let's look at the resulting actions. What are the specific cognitive biases, the internal traps, that are fueled by this amygdala takeover?
There are two major villains we need to understand. The first is loss aversion bias. This is arguably the most powerful force in behavioral finance.
How does loss aversion manifest in the markets?
Studies consistently show that the pain associated with a loss is psychologically twice as potent as the pleasure derived from an equivalent gain. If you lose $1,000, You need to gain $2,000 just to feel emotionally neutral again. This bias drives two counterproductive behaviors. First, it makes people hang on to losing stocks far too long, hoping to avoid the pain of crystallizing the loss. And second, it causes them to sell winning stocks too quickly, locking in a small profit just to feel the immediate pleasure of a win, even if it prevents serious wealth creation down the road.
That makes perfect sense. We're wired to avoid pain, even if avoiding that pain hurts our financial future. What's the second villain?
That would be the availability heuristic. This is very relevant today because of the speed of information we discussed earlier. We tend to drastically overestimate the probability of events that are easy to recall or that are constantly plastered across the media.
So if I see market crash headlines every day for a week, I start to believe the financial end is nigh, even if historical data says otherwise.
Exactly. The endless scroll of bad news makes market collapse highly available in your memory. Your amygdala sees it, goes into overdrive, and ignores historical data, which consistently shows that markets recover and grow over the long term. This heuristic is what keeps the fear machine running.
It seems these biases are contagious too. Once one person panics, others follow. That brings us to the herding effect.
The herding effect is fascinating because it's another survival instinct. When threatened, we instinctively seek safety in the group. In finance, this is the primary engine of both market bubbles and crashes. I use an analogy. Imagine inflation is a rising tide, and everyone on the beach starts running towards the exact same lifeguard shack, say gold or a specific stock.
They all rush the door.
They cause a bottleneck. They not only elevate the price of that refuge to unsustainable levels, making it expensive for everyone else, but their collective fearful selling or buying creates the very extreme volatility we're trying to avoid. Paradoxically, the people who maintain their composure and think independently during that rush, the ones standing still on the beach, are the ones who get to pick up the best opportunities that the herd has dropped.
That's a powerful visual. So if the herd is running and creating volatility, that volatility becomes the signal for the disciplined investor to start hunting for value.
That's the ultimate transformation. You turn that fear-driven volatility into a moment of measured opportunity.
Okay, let's bring it home. We understand the amygdala, we know the cognitive biases, and we know not to run with the herd. For our listeners who are feeling that knot right now, what are two immediate, actionable tips they can use to build this mental armor?
I have two main tactics that are easy to implement. The first is the 72-hour test.
Tell us about that.
Never make a drastic financial decision, especially selling, within the 72 hours following a piece of high-impact news. This rule is a forced timeout. The reason it works is neurobiological. It takes time for the cortisol to dissipate and for the amygdala's grip to loosen. By forcing a 72-hour delay, you are literally giving your prefrontal cortex, your rational decision maker, a chance to come back online. Use that time to process the information rationally, not the emotion instinctively.
That's a hard stop on impulse. I like that. What's the second tip?
The second is to label the emotion. The next time you feel that wave of panic, the need to click sell or buy, do not act on it. Instead, name it out loud or write it down. Say, I am feeling loss aversion right now, or my availability heuristic is firing because of what I just saw on social media.
That's interesting. You're not trying to suppress the emotion, you're just giving it a name.
Exactly. You're creating intellectual distance. The emotion is a sensation in your body. The action is a choice you make. By labeling it, you separate the two. You acknowledge the feeling without allowing it to dictate the action. This simple act moves the processing from your reactive amygdala to your reflective prefrontal cortex.
That separation of emotion from action, that's the key to disciplined investing. Then this has been incredibly insightful. Let's do a quick recap for our listeners. If you're struggling with market panic, remember these lessons from neuroeconomics. First, your panic is a primitive amygdala response, and you must give your prefrontal cortex time to take over. Second, be aware of the internal traps, loss aversion, and the availability heuristic. Finally, use your practical tools. Implement the 72-hour test to pause drastic action and label the emotion to create necessary distance.
It all comes down to understanding that true financial resilience isn't about knowing more financial metrics. It's about mastering your own mind. It's about building that intentional discipline.
Mastering your own mind, a perfect note to end on. Dr. Ben Carter, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
My pleasure, Alex.
And thank you for joining us on The Rational Investor. We hope you use these tools to make fear your ally, not your master. We'll see you next time.